Thank you to Helix Sleep for sponsoring this video. Ever wonder what Kratos did between God of War 3 and 4? In my headcanon, I see him getting tired of battle and instead investing his time traveling the world and living in indulgence, getting old and fat, and living happily ever after. If only retirement was that simple. But if he does decide to pig out after Ragnarok, then perhaps we can prepare him a feast with some meals from the God of War Cookbook. God of War, the official cookbook of the 9 Realms by Victoria Rosenthal and Rick Barba, gives you the chance to feast with the gods with 60 recipes that highlight the cuisines of the 9 realms of the Norse world. The cookbook is told from the perspective of Tyr, who is the Norse god of war. His title may be intimidating, but Tyr was actually a pretty chill dude who traveled to different places and realms to gain knowledge, facilitate trade, and form connections with people from all cultures. This book is Tyr's curation of the delicious dishes he sampled throughout his travels. There are about 5 to 8 recipes per realm, with each realm being prefaced by a pretty lengthy write-up about Tyr's thoughts and experiences within that realm. If you like reading up on lore, then you'll be pleased to find that this cookbook brings that in spades. Each recipe comes with some pretty chunky flavor text that gives more context on the different people of the realms and their customs. Out of all of the cookbooks I have, this is probably the one with the most written content per recipe. In terms of the food, the cookbook draws heavily from Nordic, Balkan, Eastern European, and Middle Eastern cuisines with a spattering of dishes from other Asian and Spanish cultures. I think it's alright that the recipes are pretty diverse, but a part of me kinda wishes for the cookbook to double down on the Nordic recipes since you don't see those often in cookbooks. And this would have been the perfect opportunity to really focus on that type of cuisine. I wouldn't have minded if more Nordic recipes took the place of the Asian recipes, since I can't really imagine Kratos and friends chowing down on banh mi, shishito peppers, or soba noodles since Asian influences weren't really shown in the games. But the food does look very good. A lot of the dishes look warm, hearty, and inviting with a very rustic presentation. The recipes are also accompanied by sketches of characters and locales from the God of War games, which are awesome to see and further amplifies the rustic feel of the book. Anyways, this overview is going on longer than Christopher Judge's speech, so let's get cooking. I'm going to be cooking 3 recipes so I can ready myself for Ragnarok and stuff myself full before Fimbulwinter arrives. Because when a great cataclysmic winter arrives, you're going to want to be sleeping through it, and the key to a great sleep is a great mattress. Lucky for you, Helix Sleep makes premium mattresses and bedding that are customized to fit your needs and conveniently shipped right to your door. First, you take a sleep quiz to let them know your body type and sleep preferences so they can make the perfect mattress for you. I got matched with the Helix Midnight Luxe, which is great for side sleepers like me that prefer medium firmness. I've been sleeping on this for the past 3 months and it's so much better than my previous one. I definitely feel more supported and I don't have those odd mornings where I wake up with back and shoulder stiffness. I didn't even realize how sunken and saggy my old mattress was until I replaced it, and if you've had yours for years, then yours might be too and you don't even realize it. I also upgraded to the Glaciotex cooling cover and I'm loving it. I get hot super easy, so any hint of cooling relief is always welcome. Helix Sleep mattresses also come with a 100-night sleep trial along with a 10-year warranty with financing options and flexible payment plans, and delivers right to your door for free within the US. I'm loving my Helix mattress and I'm pretty sure you would too. Click the link in the description for up to $200 off your Helix Sleep mattress plus 2 free pillows. You spend a good chunk of your life sleeping, so check out Helix and invest in your rest. But for now, let's head inside the Mystic Gateway to visit our dwarf friend Brock to try some Freakin gratitude, which is the PG version of the name of Brock's beast buddy. Yes, Brock did end up eating it, but fortunately he saved some meat for us. But first, we gotta make his dwarven spice mixture. On a baking sheet, place 1/3 cup of hazelnuts, 3 tablespoons of pistachios, and 2 tablespoons of almonds. I'm assuming whole almonds would be best, but I had sliced ones in my pantry, so I'm hoping these would be okay. Toast these in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 8 to 10 minutes. When cooled, place them in a grinder and grind until coarse. When I did this, mine kind of became peanut butter-like. I guess maybe they weren't toasted enough? I'm hoping this is going to be alright. Now in a medium pan over medium heat, cook up a 1/4 cup of sesame seeds, 2 tablespoons of coriander seeds, 1 tablespoon of cumin seeds, and 2 teaspoons of fennel seeds. Again, I think whole seeds are ideal, but I only had ground coriander, so I went with that with my fingers crossed. Cook these for about 4 minutes, then grind these up and add this to the ground nuts. Add a teaspoon of salt and mix everything together, and this is the dwarven spice mixture that's gonna flavorize our beast meat. Now the real frickin' gratitude in the game is actually a huldra, but me being a lowly mortal from planet Earth, I'll be using 4.5 pounds of leg of lamb as the cookbook suggested. Take the lamb out of the fridge an hour before cooking, and in a separate bowl, combine 1/3 cup of the dwarven spice mixture with 5 cloves of minced garlic, a tablespoon of fresh thyme, a tablespoon of lemon zest, a 1/4 cup of olive oil, and 2 teaspoons of salt. Rub this mixture all over the lamb completely. Place your meat in a Dutch oven and pour in 1.5 cups of vegetable stock and cook this covered in the oven until the meat reaches your preferred doneness. The cookbook suggestions are as follows. When done, remove from the oven and let it rest for 30 minutes. While you're waiting, increase the oven heat to 500 degrees Fahrenheit and move up the rack 2 levels. Now pop the lamb back in uncovered for about 5 to 10 minutes to crisp up the exterior. Flip and repeat for the other side, and behold, a nice honkin' chunk of frickin' gratitude. By the way, this was your most voted recipe on my Patreon poll, and if you want to cast your votes and have some sway in what I make for future videos, then head on over to my Patreon and check it out. Now we go from big and beastie to small and dainty as we try some Midgardian roasted quail. I've never had quail before, so I'm pretty excited to try this out. This recipe calls for 4 whole quails. We prep them by first generously seasoning them with salt and pepper, followed by placing half a rosemary sprig in each of their cavities. Then in a small bowl, mix together 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 1 tablespoon of honey, 2 cloves of minced garlic, and 1 teaspoon of ground fennel. Once combined, go ahead and brush this mixture onto the quail. Next step, heat up a cast iron skillet over medium-high, then sear the quails on all sides until they're golden brown. This should take about 4 to 5 minutes. Once seared, transfer the skillet into the oven at 425 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 minutes until they have an internal temp of 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Super simple, super easy, and hopefully super tasty roast quail. For dessert, we're gonna make another Midgardian favorite, goat cheese and apple tarts. Now, of course, I suck at baking, so I might ruin this just as bad as Kratos messed up Olympus, but hey, I need practice. First, let's work on the cheese. In a bowl, combine together 8 ounces of goat cheese with 2 tablespoons of ricotta, 3 tablespoons of apple juice, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, 3 tablespoons of honey, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and a half teaspoon of salt. Mix it until smooth. Now for the puff pastry, take 2 store-bought defrosted puff pastry sheets and roll them out. Then cut 5-inch circles out of both sheets, so that's going to be 4 circles per sheet. Then take a 3-inch cookie cutter and just lightly press it in the middle of each without cutting all the way through. Transfer these all to a parchment paper-lined baking sheet, then start filling each tart with the cheese mixture while staying within that smaller circle so the sides will puff up when baking. Add on top of each tart some gala apple slices, about 1/4 of an apple for each tart. Lastly, in a small bowl, mix together 2 tablespoons of melted butter with 1/4 cup of honey and brush this honey butter over the tarts and sprinkle with some ground cardamom for the topping. As you can see, my cheese filling started getting way too runny and it started spreading all over the place. This is going to be a disaster of epic proportions, but the show must go on. Bake these in the oven at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for 25 to 30 minutes. As expected, mine totally didn't rise. The cheese mixture was just way too thin and smothered the dough. Baking is clearly still my Achilles heel, and sometimes baking makes me wanna rage! And okay, my rage meter has been depleted, so let's see. I'm gonna start off with roasted quail. I've been dying to try this. Is it any good? It's not bad. The flavor is good and it's got a bit of a stronger taste than chicken, but these bones though, it's kind of irritating to navigate through all the sharp bits, and there are quite a bit. I also might have overcooked these since they're not as tender as I'd like. The glaze is good though, and it's really tasty. I can definitely see it working well with chicken. All in all, not bad, but I do prefer chicken. Although with this, I do kind of feel like a giant. I guess this is the closest I'll ever be to being Jotun. Let's move on to the frickin' gratitude. These smell really good, but how do they taste? Even better. I highly recommend this recipe. That dwarven spice mix is beautifully savory and has a nutty earthiness that is a perfect complement to the gaminess of the lamb. Even though I know I probably didn't make the spice mix right, it ended up tasting amazing at the end, and I think it would also go great with beef or pork. Already I'm thinking about the possibilities with leg of lamb as I eat it for leftovers. I can eat it with veg, slice it up and use it for tacos, put it in a sandwich. I'm gonna have a good week, y'all. I know there's 9 realms in God of War, but this dish should be the 10th realm and call it umami heaven. Yum. Last and probably the least, we got my fail of a cheese and apple tart. It don't look great, but I hope it's edible. And yeah, it's still okay. The puff pastry is definitely soggy and I wish I got that crispiness that it's supposed to have, but at least the cheese still tasted rich and decadent and paired well with the tartness of the apple. I was actually just thinking of throwing these out and starting again from scratch, but you know what? Mistakes happen in the kitchen and it's part of the beautiful journey that is cooking. And I'm certainly not gonna let it go to waste unless it was really sucky. I'll just eat it with the lamb. The lamb will fix everything. The lamb will fix everything. Final verdict for the God of War cookbook: lore galore, Norse to the core with a lamb that I adore.